After 8 long years, I discovered an incredible transformation when my grandchild was born. Jack was a repairman, weathered like the tools he carried, heavy and worn but dependable. 8 long years had passed since he'd last seen his daughter, Sarah. Their hearts, once bursting with laughter, now echoed with silence, punctuated only by the quiet thrum of unresolved anger. Each day felt like trudging through mud. He worked hard, staying loyal to his family, but the rift with Sarah weighed on him like a stone constantly clinging to his neck. Then came that autumn day when everything changed. The leaves danced with the whisper of a breeze, carrying unexpected news on their fluttering journey. Sarah was pregnant. Joy surged through him, swirling and chaotic, igniting flickers of hope. He paced through the lively streets of their small Midwestern town, faces of old friends flashing by, their voices threading through his mind like warm memories. Laughter mingled with the scents of apple cider and pumpkin, igniting a longing for the community ties he cherished. "Jack, how's it going, buddy?" an old pal called out from across the sidewalk, a hand raised in greeting. Jack managed a smile, reminiscing about simpler times: barbecues, Friday night football, and family gatherings. But as the days slid closer to Sarah's due date, doubt crept back in. What if his steadfast beliefs about hard work and responsibility pushed her further away? The thought clenched his chest, unrelenting and suffocating. The labor room buzzed like a hive of chaotic energy as Jack stood outside, feeling small. The air was thick with excitement, anticipation, and a dose of dread. When he finally stepped inside, his heart hammered against his ribs. One look at Sarah sent a rush of emotions spiraling through him. She stood there, powerful yet fragile, her body poised to bring life into the world. Yet amidst that miraculous moment, the unresolved tension boiled over. "Why didn't you ever understand?" Sarah blurted, her voice quavering like a tightrope in the wind. Jack felt the world spin. Instead of fighting back, he listened. Slowly, her words poured out, revealing struggles that mirrored his own. Childhood hopes, shattered dreams, and a desire for freedom he hadn't seen. For the first time, he didn't see a disappointment, he saw a reflection of himself. Just as a distant wail cut through the tensions, announcing the arrival of a new life, Jack stood at the brink of transformation. The baby was born, innocence incarnate, and with it came clarity. He could either cling to his pride or embrace this fractured bond. The cries of the child embraced him, urging his heart to loosen, to soften. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the gentle cooing of the baby blending into the tense silence, Jack took a tentative step forward, his heart racing. Would Sarah let him back in, start anew from the rubble of their past? As uncertainty hung thick in the air, Jack's breath hitched. The moment of truth was dawning, and he couldn't help but wonder if love could finally bridge the chasm they had built. Jack stepped closer, absorbing the soft glow of the baby cradled in Sarah's arms. The little one blinked up at him, wide-eyed and unknowing, as if recognizing the promise of unconditional love. A sense of calm washed over him, swirling with hope and determination. It struck him then the anger that had held him captive began to feel irrelevant. They had both suffered, each trapped in their view of the world, but here, right in front of them, was a new beginning. "Can I hold her?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, brittle with emotion. Sarah hesitated, a flicker of fear crossing her face before she nodded. Carefully, she handed over the delicate bundle, and Jack's heart soared. As he cradled the baby, her warmth radiated through his skin. He felt a spark of connection course through him, a bridge reaching toward Sarah, his daughter, his flesh and blood. The baby cooed lightly, and he couldn't help but let out a soft laugh, feeling the joy gradually chip away at the wall he had built around his heart. "It's a girl," Sarah said, her eyes moist as she watched Jack hold her daughter, their daughter. Her name is Emily. Emily, Jack echoed, the name rolling off his tongue like sweet syrup. His eyes locked onto Sarah's, and he saw something flicker there, a mix of hope, vulnerability, a plea for connection. I'm sorry, Sarah. I really didn't understand. I see that now. It felt like a dam breaking, releasing years of pent-up frustration, regret, and love. Sarah nodded, tears spilling over, humid with years of anguish. I just needed you to see me. To believe in my choices, not just in the ones you made for me. Jack took a deep breath, the air tasting of possibilities. What if we try to understand each other from here on out? No more hiding, just us and Emily. We can start fresh. She pressed her lips into a tight line, and for a moment, Jack feared the worst. But then she took a step closer, closing the distance between them, and her arms wrapped around him in a tentative embrace. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding, feeling her warmth seep into his bones. As they stood together, surrounded by the cries and coos of new life, Jack realized he wasn't just repairing chairs or fixing leaky pipes, he was mending a bond fractured by time and hurt. The baby squirmed in his arms, making soft sounds like a song, and he wondered what kind of story she would tell one day. Suddenly, a nurse interrupted, entering with a bright smile. Congratulations, it's time for the whole family to meet Emily. Jack felt a surge of excitement well within him, and as they walked side by side, he realized it wasn't just their family that was being welcomed but his legacy, a future wrapped in the tiny fingers of a child he had just met, yet deep within him, traces of that old uncertainty lingered. The question still hung in the air, unspoken: could their newfound connection survive the complexities of their past? As he gazed at the little life that had sparked hope in their hearts, he knew the answer was not yet clear. As he took a deep breath, preparing to face the next chapter of their lives together, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was still ahead. Would they have the strength to confront the shadows yet to be faced? The door to the waiting room swung open, and with it came a flurry of emotions. The waiting room buzzed with life, the chatter of family greeting and congratulating one another only heightening the tension in Jack's chest. Each step felt monumental, as though he were crossing a bridge back to a world where joy and pain intertwined. As they entered a brightly lit room filled with warm smiles and excited voices, Jack's heart raced. Emily's grandparents were there, beaming with pride, their eyes glistening with tears of joy. It was a scene he once thought would never include him. He stood just a little taller, holding Sarah's hand, unsure if he should introduce himself as Emily's father or simply blend into the background. Jack! A voice called from the crowd, pulling him from his thoughts. It was Sarah's father, a sturdy man with a welcoming smile that radiated warmth like sunlight on a spring day. You made it. He stepped forward and embraced Jack, and it felt oddly reassuring. We've been waiting for you to meet your daughter. Come on, you have to see her cousin, too. Sarah's hand squeezed his, and they followed her father deeper into the room. They soon approached a cozy corner where Emily lay sleeping in a crib, a bundle wrapped in a pink blanket. The sight made Jack's breath catch again. He felt attached to this little life already. The world ceased to exist outside that moment, and it was just the three of them, their daughter, tender and innocent. This is where all the magic happens, Sarah's mother exclaimed, excitement spilling over. We're so lucky to have her here, but she's going to need all the love she can get. Her voice was laced with hope, and in the corners of her eyes were traces of longing that mirrored his own. Jack glanced at Sarah, who was biting her lip as if holding back a flood of emotions, and he wanted to alleviate it all. We'll give her that love, he promised almost to himself, his heart swelling. All of it. As the family gathered around, each person taking turns to hold the baby, Jack found himself feeling like an outsider, his own emotions twisting inside him. Memories of past arguments, of lost time, crowded his mind. Could he ever make up for those years? How could he ensure that this family would thrive when his own foundations felt so shaky? Then, unexpectedly, Emily stirred, her tiny fingers gripping Jack's finger. A jolt shot through him, grounding him in this moment. She was real, a physical reminder that life could begin anew. The weight of his past still lingered, but here was a future fragile yet radiant. "You're gonna change everything," he whispered into her soft hair, the essence of her baby's shampoo filling his senses. Suddenly, Sarah's voice broke through his reverie. "Jack, can we step outside for a moment?" It wasn't a request, it was a necessity. As they found a quiet corner away from the noise, Jack looked into her expectant eyes, a storm brewing in his chest. "What is it?" She took a breath, bracing herself. "I need us to talk about where we go from here, the things we need to face." Her eyes darkened, and he could see shadows of worries flickering beneath the surface. "What do you mean?" Jack asked, his trepidation creeping back. "How do we handle the past? What happens when it all comes flooding back?" The question made Jack's heart race, uncertainty crackling in the air between them. Sarah had given him a second chance, a lifeline, but could they truly rewrite the narrative of their lives without facing the chapters that haunted them? In that moment, Jack knew that the road ahead wouldn't be smooth. They were on the brink of something that could either heal their hearts or tear them apart. "Let us figure it out together," he said finally, determination seeping into his words. But as he spoke, the door creaked open once more, and the nurse walked in, her expression unreadable. "There's someone who wants to see you too." Jack exchanged worried glances with Sarah. Who could it be? His heart raced, the shadows looming larger than before. With the weight of their past still unaddressed, Jack braced himself for whatever was about to come through that door. What had they unknowingly opened up? As the nurse stepped aside, a figure appeared in the doorway. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stand still. Jack's breath caught in his throat as he recognized the silhouette. It was his mother, her face pale but determined, eyes reflecting a mix of vulnerability and fierce love. "Mom." His voice was barely a whisper, edged with disbelief. Sarah tightened her grip on his hand, both of them equally shocked by the sudden presence. "Jack," she faltered, stepping into the room. There was a shuffling silence, the buzz of family excitement fading into the background. "Why are you here?" Jack's question was firm, but beneath it lay a vulnerability that felt familiar yet unsettling. He hadn't seen her in years, a chasm filled with anger and hurt separating them. I heard you were back in town and that Emily was born," she said hesitantly, her eyes darting to Sarah and then back to him. "I wanted to see you to see my granddaughter." Jack's heart raced with emotions colliding. He had hoped for this moment many times during the years of absence. Part of him yearned to run to her and collapse into a long overdue embrace, while another part felt the familiar walls of resentment rise. "Mom," he started, unsure where to guide the conversation. But she pressed on, her fingers trembling. "I know things ended badly between us, but I've changed. I'm working on myself. I've missed you both more than you can imagine." There was sincerity in her voice, a desperate hope that reached for him like a branch in stormy seas. Yet, Jack found it difficult to separate the woman he had once known from the pain that clung to his past. "We're trying to focus on Emily," he said quietly. "She deserves a fresh start." "Of course, she does," his mother agreed softly. "What I did, I can't take that away. But I thought, maybe, I could be a part of her life, your life, if you'd let me." Jack watched her closely, trying to read her intentions. It had taken them years to get to this point, to even begin to entertain the idea of forgiveness, and now, when they were on the brink of something new, the specter of his childhood loomed again. Sarah broke the silence, her voice steady. "Jack, you don't have to make this decision now. Let us give it some time." He nodded, grateful for her understanding. There was a complexity in this situation he hadn't anticipated, the weight of Emily's future cocooned in his own unresolved feelings toward family. "Can you hold her?" Jack's mother's voice was soft and pleading, breaking him from his tangled thoughts. "Hold who?" he asked, his brow furrowing. "Emily," she replied, her eyes lighting up with hope. "Let me hold her just once. I want to make peace with the past, with my mistakes." Jack's heart raced at the thought. Could he allow this woman, who had hurt him deeply, to embrace the new joy in his life? A glance at Sarah confirmed what his heart felt. Emily was a bright light, and they couldn't let shadows dull her shine. He took a deep breath, even as a wave of apprehension washed over him. Okay, but just for a moment. His mother stepped forward, and as she held the infant in her arms, they all watched in silence. Emily's delicate features remained blissfully unaware, offering a moment of clarity amidst the turmoil. Jack's heart ached as bittersweet memories intertwined with hope. The past was still there, lurking on the edges, but perhaps it didn't need to define their future, yet, just as relief began to settle over him, a figure appeared in the doorway, a well-dressed man with a tight grin, eyes scanning the room. He knew that face. The tension in Jack's chest flared again. "Excuse me," the man said smoothly, "can I speak with you, Jack? It's important." Just when he thought things were starting to settle, a new wave of uncertainty threatened to upend everything once again. Who was this man, and what could he possibly want? Jack's attention snapped back to the well-dressed man, the air thick with an unsettling mix of curiosity and dread. He felt the weight of his mother's eyes on him, a blend of hope and anxiety fluttering between them. "Who are you?" Jack asked, his voice firm yet laden with uncertainty. The man stepped closer, a flash of recognition flickering behind his eyes, but Jack couldn't place him. "My name is Mark Trevitt," he said, extending a hand with a practiced smile. "I work with a community outreach program. We're concerned about the welfare of Emily." His words hung heavy in the air, creating a rift in the fragile atmosphere. Jack felt his heartbeat quicken. "Concerned? Why are you concerned? She's perfectly healthy." Mark looked at him, the smile fading as a serious expression took its place. "That's not what I mean. I've come to address some allegations regarding your family, specifically about your mother." Jack's stomach nodded. "What allegations?" The protective instincts for Emily surged within him, blocking out all other thoughts. He shifted his gaze from Mark to his mother, who now stood frozen, the light of hope dimming in her eyes. Regarding her past, Mark continued, his voice steady but urgent. "The last thing we want is for Emily to become involved in family issues that could impact her. We have to be sure it's safe for her to have relationships with all family members. This includes helping your mother prove she has changed." Jack's anger flared. "You think just because she made mistakes long ago, she can't be trusted? She's here trying to start over." "She's also been gone for years," Mark interjected, his tone soft yet firm. "You don't know what she's been doing or how she's been living since. We need to ensure that Emily is raised in a healthy environment." An uncomfortable silence enveloped the room as Jack weighed his mother's past against her present. Would he risk Emily's happiness for the sake of lingering doubts? "I understand your concerns," his mother finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper as she held Emily tightly, reassuring her through the chaos. "But I'm here because I want to be better for you, Jack. For Emily." Jack glanced at Sarah, who looked as lost as he felt. "This is a lot to take in," he admitted, lowering his voice. "But I won't let anyone dictate what my family should look like. Emily deserves to know her grandmother." Mark remained stoic. "All I'm asking for is a temporary evaluation, a way for your mother to prove her commitment. You can help facilitate that process." "What if I don't agree?" Jack retorted, his voice rising. "Then, Jack, we will have to assess how we proceed with Emily's care," Mark replied, nodding slightly. The air crackled with tension as Jack grappled with his emotions. It felt like his world was teetering on the edge, and for the first time since this reunion, Jack felt the weight of responsibility pressing down hard on his chest. "Mom, what do you want?" he asked, turning to her, feeling a swirl of protectiveness mixed with confusion. As he searched her eyes, he saw the glimmer of pain reflected back at him, but also, unexpectedly, a fierce determination. "I want us to heal," she said steadily, her gaze unwavering. "I want to be part of Emily's life, and I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that I'm different now." Jack opened his mouth to respond, but before he could voice his thoughts, a sudden movement caught his attention. Emily squirmed slightly in his mother's arms, breaking the heavy atmosphere. The infant cooed softly, blissfully unaware of the adult drama swirling around her. "Maybe we should take this outside?" Sarah suggested, her voice cutting through the tension. Jack nodded and reluctantly stepped out of the room with Mark. The hallway felt too narrow, too confining, and the echoes of concern weighed heavy. As they moved, he wondered, was he ready to confront his mother's past while protecting Emily's future? What truth still lay hidden, waiting to be uncovered as this unexpected encounter took a turn for the worse? Jack stepped into the hallway, feeling the weight of the entire house pressing down on him. The walls seemed to close in, painted memories of laughter and sorrow swirling in his mind. He leaned against the cool surface, taking a breath. Mark stood beside him, his posture relaxed yet determined. "Let us talk this through," Mark urged. "You care about Emily, and so does your mother. The goal is to ensure her well-being." Jack clenched his fists. "And if that means tearing us apart? I can't see how that helps her." "Jack," Mark said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "This isn't about punishment. It's about precaution. Sometimes you have to go through a storm to find clarity." The metaphor didn't help ease Jack's anxiety. He thought of his mother, standing behind them, struggling through her own tempest fighting for a second chance. He shifted his weight, torn between loyalty and protection, each emotion fighting for dominance. "Fine," he snapped, shaking off Mark's hand. "What do we need to do? What does proving look like?" Mark was momentarily taken aback, but a hint of approval flashed in his eyes. "All we need is time. Weekly meetings, some counseling sessions to showcase her progress. Documenting everything. It'll be a structured process." "What if she stalls?" Jack questioned. "What if this doesn't go anywhere? Then we evaluate from there. It's up to her to show commitment, we'll be watching closely," Mark explained. "This is a chance for your mom to demonstrate she's ready to be in Emily's life." Jack ran a hand through his hair. "And if she fails? What happens to Emily then?" Mark's expression darkened momentarily. "That's not what we want. But I have to be upfront about the stakes here." As Jack tried to wrap around the implications, a moment of clarity struck. He had always fought for family, for connection, but what did it mean to hold on to a bond that could put Emily at risk? His thoughts drifted back to Emily's cooing and innocent smiles, a fleeting thought brushed aside. His adrenaline pulsed in his veins, a deep urge to shield her from any harm. "If she's going to prove herself, she needs my support," Jack finally said, the resolve thickening in his voice. "But I want a say in this every step of the way." Mark nodded, appreciation flickering across his face. "That's fair. As long as you're committed, we can make this work together." As they stepped back toward the living room, Jack's heart raced. He caught a glimpse of his mother gazing tenderly at Emily, a soft smile lighting her features. That image tugged at him, pulling at the strands of hope he had buried deep within. "Mom," Jack began, stepping forward. Her eyes met his assertively. "Jack, I can do this. Just let me show you," she replied, the unshakable determination evident in her voice, but doubt lingered still, shadows of old fears crawling back. Could she truly be different? For Emily's sake, he needed to believe. As he nodded slowly, there was a deafening silence before the reality settled. Could this fragile hope withstand the harsh winds ahead? "Let us start the conversations," he decided, his voice steadying. "But know that I'm watching." The full weight of his words hung there, echoing in the stillness of the room. He felt the air shift, a collective sigh of relief from his mother, a tightening of nerves from Mark. Just then, the baby's laughter broke through the tension, a sound so pure, easing the suffocating air, wrapping them in a moment of warmth. Jack felt his heart softening, reminded again why they were fighting for this chance, but as the conversation progressed, a sudden thought pierced through. What secrets could still unravel, and what risks would he ultimately have to face? In that quiet, Jack realized the past may be lurking closer than he thought, waiting for its moment to strike. Jack settled into the living room, his heart still racing from the meeting. The atmosphere was thick with anxiety, but also a flicker of hope. Emily's laughter filled the spaces left by uncertainty, a reminder that innocence could still bloom amidst chaos. Watching her, he felt torn. How could he protect her while allowing his mother this chance? As his mother leaned closer to Emily, Jack caught a glimpse of something he hadn't seen in years: genuine joy etched on his mother's face. It stirred emotions he thought he had locked away, buried beneath layers of past hurts and disappointments. He should have felt pride, but instead, dread gnawed at him. Was this joy just an illusion? "Jack, can I hold her?" his mother asked, her voice barely above a whisper but full of longing. He hesitated, the image of their past rushing through his mind. It was easy to remember the times she had let him down. "Let's take it slow," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We need to be careful." A moment of silence wrapped around them. The tension could be cut with a knife. His mother lowered her eyes, a flicker of hurt flashing across her face. He didn't mean to wound her but felt he had to stand firm to keep Emily safe. Just then, Mark cleared his throat, breaking through the thick silence. "Maybe we could start with some family activities. Just, casually spend time together and see how it feels." That suggestion hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Jack's stomach twisted with anxiety. He could visualize trips to the park, family meals, laughter spilling over as they shared stories. But he could also see the fractures that could show themselves, the breakdowns that could emerge in the midst of those moments. His instinct screamed at him to remain vigilant, yet something else tugged at his heart. "I want to try," he heard himself say, surprised at the depth of that desire. "But only if it's structured. No surprises." "Absolutely," Mark agreed, relief washing over his face. "Maybe even keep a journal of progress. It could help keep everything on track." Jack nodded slowly, weighing every decision. "That might help us stay accountable." He cast a sidelong glance at his mother. "But I won't hesitate to pull back if I think it's affecting Emily." His mother's expression softened. "You have every right to protect her, Jack. I understand." Yet there was that flicker of fear in her eyes he couldn't ignore. Did she understand the real stakes involved? Emily, oblivious to the weighty conversation, babbled happily, her tiny fingers gripping at the air, reaching for her grandmother with an innocent trust. Jack could hardly take his eyes off her, drawn into the enchanting world of untainted love. But with each passing moment, dark thoughts crept back, whispering doubts into his mind. "If we all work together, things can be different this time," his mother said, hope bleeding through her uncertainty. "Please just trust me, Jack." As the words settled, Jack felt a wave of conflicting emotions crash over him. He wanted to believe his mother, wanted to see a new version of her. But then he remembered the scars she had left. He ached for his mother to be in Emily's life but worried the ghosts of the past could come back to haunt them all. What if this time the shadows are too heavy to push away? He muttered, barely audible. It was a thought he couldn't shake, a haunting question that made it hard to breathe. Just then, Emily let out a squeal, trying to catch her grandmother's attention once more. For a brief moment, the air brightened, filled with the spark of pure joy again. At that moment, Jack couldn't help but wonder, was there enough light in all their lives to chase away the shadows? In the depths of his heart, he knew one thing: they had to tread carefully. Each decision could steer their ship into troubled waters or towards the calm. They just had to navigate it all together. As the laughter erupted anew, bringing light to their struggles, Jack's thoughts shifted. What if there was one last secret buried in that past, waiting to surface? One that could drown their fragile hope before it even had a chance to take root. Jack felt the warm energy of Emily's laughter ripple through the room, but doubts tangled in his mind like vines. For every giggle, another fear surfaced. He couldn't help but imagine all the ways this fragile reunion could unravel. He glanced at his mother, who was now leaning back, a tender, wistful smile spreading across her face as she watched Emily. Was she really ready to embrace this new life? Or was it just a fleeting moment, quickly extinguished by the past? "Let us find a nice spot for a picture," Mark suggested, breaking the brewing tension once again. "We could capture this moment, a new beginning, right?" "Yeah, good idea." Jack quickly agreed, seizing the opportunity to shift the mood. Anything to fill the space with something tangible, something hopeful. He positioned Emily in the center, her head nestled against his shoulder, blissfully oblivious to the emotional turmoil swirling around her. His mother shuffled forward, cautiously lifting her phone. "Can you angle her this way? She has the prettiest smile when she's facing the light," she encouraged, her voice softer now, reminiscent of how she used to be when Jack was small. He felt a flicker of the past in her tone, but his guard remained firmly in place. Jack adjusted Emily, who giggled at all the commotion. He managed a small smile, the warmth in his chest growing just a bit. "Okay, on three, everyone say cheese." As they posed, Jack caught the fleeting glimpse of his mother's eyes glistening. Was that joy or was it desperation? He couldn't tell. His father's words echoed in his mind, "We always get burned if we let the flames too close." But he found it hard to feign indifference when Emily wriggled in his arms, completely fearless, trusting. "Cheese!" They all shouted in unison, and the moment snapped into a photograph, capturing more than just faces. It held a fragile promise, a tentative hope. The air felt charged. Even as Emily reached for her grandmother once more, urging her to join the celebration, Jack couldn't shake the unease. Once we leave here, he thought, what comes next? Would they know how to carry this budding connection forward into the chaos waiting beyond these walls? "Let us do it again," with Grandma holding Emily. Mark chimed in, his enthusiasm contagious. Jack's mother's face lit up, the corners of her mouth curling in sheer delight. He watched her carefully as she cradled Emily. The sight was overwhelming. Could this be the turning point they needed? The two of them, unspoken history heavy in the air, and yet here they were, all the past moments swirling beneath the surface, filled with potential. "Okay," Jack finally replied, his voice strained but full of determination as he set the timer on the camera. "But we're doing this one for the album. Just don't forget what's at stake." With each click of the camera, he desperately wished they could capture not just today's joy, but the fight they had ahead. Each image would be a reminder, a witness to the difficult path they had chosen. As they posed, Jack's heart quickened again. What if his mother slipped? What if the comfort of her daughter transformed back into the distanced shadows he feared? That thought sent a shiver down his spine. The afternoon wore on, and as laughter and singing spilled out into the late sun, Jack felt the pressure of the unspoken. He wanted to believe in this, yet his instincts warned him to tread lightly. Just as the laughter peaked, Emily's small fingers grasped at the air, reaching once more toward her grandmother, but this time something else caught her eye, a box tucked in the corner, one old and seemingly neglected. "Mom, what's in that box?" Jack asked, his heart dropping as his curiosity got the better of him. He felt a chill sweep through him as his mother's face turned pale. "We should leave it alone," she said, her voice shaking just slightly. But Jack couldn't help but lean in, unable to ignore the thread pulling at him. "Wait, what's really in there?" He pressed, suddenly full of apprehension. The laughter ceased, and silence filled the room, heavy with the weight of unveiling something more than they had ever bargained for. Jack's heartbeat echoed in his ears, drowning out the sounds of laughter that had just been alive in the room. Eyes narrowed, he took a cautious step toward the box. It was an unassuming thing, dusty, wooden, and tucked away in a forgotten corner like an estranged family member. "Please, let us not go there," his mother urged, her voice shaky. Jack turned back to her, a mix of urgency and confusion written across his face. "Why not? What are you so afraid of?" His words hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. Emily, unaware of the tension, took a step forward, her eyes shining with childish curiosity. "What is it, Daddy?" she asked, tilting her head, her innocence piercing through the gloom. It might be old family stuff, Jack replied, keeping his own emotions in check. He felt a pull, a magnetic tether to the box. What secrets did it hold? The history it concealed felt like a ghost lingering right at the edge of their reunion that he cast a sidelong glance at his mother. Her expression had transformed from warm nostalgia to a tight mask of apprehension. Some things are better left unknown, she whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. But isn't it better to know than to keep things hidden? Jack countered, the words spilling from him in a rush. He didn't want to feel resentful, he wanted connection. Yet, that desire felt like a battle against a tide of reluctance. Mark leaned against the mantel, shifting nervously. Maybe it holds good memories, too. He chimed in, desperately trying to lighten the mood. Jack appreciated the attempt, but he sensed Mark's own uncertainty. The air was thickening, tension filled the spaces that laughter once occupied. Emily, he said, trying to redirect his daughter's attention. Why don't you show Grandma your drawing? He hoped to pull her away from the box, away from the darkness that seemed to bubble to the surface. Okay. Emily clapped her hands, rushing to where her colorful masterpiece lay sprawled on the coffee table. The drawing, filled with bright suns and smiling flowers, was painted cheerfully with the innocence of youth, but Jack's eyes remained fixed on the box, every whispered secret calling out to him. What if it's all the answers we need? He muttered to himself, heart racing. He could almost hear the past begging to be heard. Jack, his mother's voice trembled, breaking his thoughts. Sometimes digging up the past doesn't bring anything good. It could hurt more than help. He faced her, holding her gaze. But if it's holding us back, shouldn't we be brave enough to look? Silence hung like a dark cloud. Each of them wrestling with their own memories, fears, and unspoken words. Jack's resolve steadied, pushing back against the voice that whispered in his mind to turn away. He slowly bent down, feeling the rough edges of the box against his palm. Just then, Emily returned, proudly holding her drawing. Look at this, Grandma. It's us together. A flicker of warmth ignited in his mother's eyes as she took the drawing, her focus shifting momentarily away from the box. Jack seized that chance, taking a deep breath to steady himself. Maybe this could shift something. Maybe they could bridge the gaps between them if he only dared to open that box. The weight of knowing hung heavily in the air as he ran his fingers along the old, intricate latch. Jack glanced at Emily, her bright smile a soft beacon of hope. But as he looked back at his mother, the fear in her eyes deepened. Jack, please, she whispered, as if begging him to stop, but something inside him surged forward. Perhaps there are things meant to be found, even if the journey is uncertain. Jack exhaled slowly, making a decision that would forever change the fabric of what their family had always known. As he lifted the lid, a wave of air escaped, and he braced himself for whatever lay within. What stories, what memories, would unfold with this revelation? Was it a path to healing or a door to greater pain? Jack's heart raced as he peered inside, desperate to uncover the truth. Inside the box, a jumble of faded photographs and old trinkets lay nestled, relics of a life once lived. Jack carefully picked through them, memories whispered from each image. A photo of a family, laughing and carefree, his mother's younger face beamed back, untouched by the weight of the years that had passed. Jack felt a swell of nostalgia mix with trepidation. Jack, put it back, his mother urged, her voice trembling. But he couldn't. He felt drawn to the stories woven within those images, and some thread deep within him urged him on. Why did you hide this? He asked, his voice steady. Why keep it locked away? His mother shrugged, a flicker of shame in her eyes. Some memories are painful. I thought maybe it was easier to forget. Emily, swirling with curiosity, peered over Jack's shoulder. What's in there, Daddy? Her innocent joy grounded him. He didn't want to taint her spirit with shadows that hung heavy on their past. Just some old family stuff, he replied, feeling the weight of her gaze. But there's love here, too. He lifted an old bracelet, its gold glinting softly. Do you remember this, Mom? A single tear rolled down her cheek as she reached out. That was your grandmother's. She wore it to every family gathering, every special occasion. Jack's heart ached at the tenderness in her voice. What if we could make new memories with it? He breathed, the words leaving his lips before he realized their power. In that moment, as the past crept forward, Jack recognized something profound. He was not just holding remnants of old heartaches but glimmers of hope. The past could serve as stepping stones, not shackles. Let us create a story together, he said, turning to his mother. A story that includes all of us, Emily, you, and me. I want to be part of that story, she replied softly, her voice breaking like dawn through darkness. I need you to know that I'm trying for you, for Emily. The air shifted, less tense now, as Emily giggled, accidentally disrupting the profundity, her laughter breaking the gloomy atmosphere like sunshine breaking through clouds. She took the bracelet from Jack's hands and held it up, innocent and bright. Look, Grandma. It's pretty. That's beautiful, sweetheart, his mother responded, a smile tugging at her lips. It was in that moment he felt a bond weaving anew. Jack realized that by facing the shadows within the box, they had kindled a chance to rewrite their shared narrative. Let us make plans as a family, Jack suggested. Let us make sure Emily knows her history, but not just the burdens, the love, too. His mother nodded, the light returning to her eyes. Yes, let us make memories, not just carry scars. Seizing that thought, an idea blossomed in Jack's mind. What if we start a scrapbook? One filled with laughter, pictures, and stories. A place for Emily to grow, to understand her roots. With a deep breath, he took in the room, sensing the shift all around him. Together, they could stitch the jagged edges of their histories into something beautiful. Together, his mother echoed, her voice gaining strength. I'll write about the mistakes I made, the lessons I learned. I want her to see my journey. Jack couldn't contain his smile, feeling warmth spread through him. You've got it, Mom. And as they all gathered around, Emily nestled between them, the uncertainty began to dissolve, replaced with determination and hope. Look at us, Jack said, his heart swelling. We're not just a family, we're a team ready to embrace the future. Together, we can face anything. Jack's heart soared, a reservoir of hope brightening the edges of his soul. The shadows of resentment began to fall away, replaced by a vibrant tapestry woven by love. Can we take a picture now? Emily chirped, excitement flooding her voice. They joined hands, forming a small circle around Emily, ready to capture this moment prepared for change. As the camera clicked, Jack felt a flood of gratitude surge through him. This picture would embody not just the joyful moment, but also their powerful resolve to journey forward. Remember, he whispered, gazing at his family, every picture tells a story. Thank you for being part of mine. Finally, he felt at peace, ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing they would face it together. Now, this is your moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that can inspire you and your loved ones. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow. It really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. What did it mean to you? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to support our channel through these actions.